Gems for Hire.
Welcome back to Jams for Hire. I am Matthew Perry. With me today, Will Polston and RJ Strope, and we are back. Our Week 17 Pick'em update on Week 16. I won the week again. I'm hot right now. I went 13-3 last week and have come all the way back, not to Will. Will's in first and 9 games up on everybody else at least. But I was at one point 12 games behind the third place person, however you want to say that. I'm now tied with RJ. We are both 141 and 85, 10 games back. That's a tie for third. Jamil just 1 game above us, 9 games out, 142 and 84. And Will chilling 9 games up. I mean, what could possibly go wrong, right? Only 1 split this week and then a couple islands. We'll get right into it. Will, I'll start with you. We'll head straight to the Monday night game. The Cleveland Browns and Pittsburgh Steelers. You're the only one picking Pittsburgh. Why?
Yeah, this game's weird. I mean, the two teams only separated by a tie. Obviously, Pittsburgh tying with the Detroit Lions. Obviously, a little bit of a weird game. This is just a weird game that I think could go in a lot of directions. Right now, I mean, both teams have great defenses. The offense of Pittsburgh is a little bit suspect. But also, I'm not a big Baker guy either. You know, Baker's kind of giving me reasons to not believe in him either. So, being in Pittsburgh, you know, with playoff implications, with the way the AFC is, it's so busy. Everybody's still in it. Basically everybody, I should say. You know, everybody still has a chance at getting a playoff spot. Being in Pittsburgh with that defense, with the skeptical play of both quarterbacks, I'll still take Pittsburgh to step up at home and get a victory there.
RJ, Rams and Ravens, you're the only one picking the Ravens. They're fighting hard for a playoff spot, while the Rams, it looks like they most likely have one, especially with Lamar Jackson limping out of practice the other day. What makes you take the Ravens?
It seems good. I get it. They're banged up. They don't have their star quarterback and all that, but they've performed a lot better than I think most people thought they would. I mean, this is a team that was a 2-point conversion away from beating the number 1 team in the NFC, the Green Bay Packers. I think the Ravens are a lot more desperate heading into this game. They are fighting for their playoff lives. The Rams are going to be in the playoffs. I know they haven't officially clinched a spot, or did they? I don't.
They did.
Did they? They did. Okay, so
they haven't clinched the division, but they've clinched a spot.
Yeah. So they're still fighting for seeding, and they want to have, you know, the 2 instead of the 5, whatever. But like, they can kind of take their foot off the gas and kind of relax. They know they're going to be playing football in 2 weeks. The Baltimore Ravens don't know that. They're going to be very desperate. This defense has stepped up. Well, not against Cincinnati, they didn't. But this team has looked better than I think most people thought they would. Why not? Let's go with the Baltimore Ravens. Every week there's a stupid upset. The Rams should win this game. We're going with the Ravens.
That would be one of the more shocking ones, honestly, with how banged up the offense is, especially missing Lamar. I personally don't see it. Who would be starting a quarterback come Sunday?
It looks like Tyler Huntley. He just came back.
Yeah. He had what, COVID, or was he injured?
Yeah. He was on the COVID list, yeah.
All right. So when Tyler Huntley, RJ trusts, we'll see how that goes. We'll go to me.
You know, I know you said against the Packers, they were a 2-point conversion away twice on 2 different games. Yeah. Huntley could have won 2 different games.
No, yeah, absolutely.
No,
we'll move to me. I have 2 islands. I might as well hit them back to back, and then we'll go back to RJ, who has a couple more. I picked the New York Giants to defeat the Chicago Bears. Bears are coming off a win, which we can't say that often, but it was a real close one against the Seattle Seahawks, who are having their own troubles this year. This game for me is honestly 50-50. I don't blame you guys for picking the Bears, but at the same time, I don't think I'm out of line picking the Giants. These are 2 teams that are having rough years, questionable coaching staffs, and decisions on all sides of the ball. Not much to really say on the positive side for either of these teams, but I will put my faith in the football Giants and see if I could steal a victory from you guys. So I'll ride that. And then my second one, the Carolina Panthers beating the New Orleans Saints. the Saints have a lot of people back from COVID this week, including their starting quarterback Taysom Hill, among others. This won't be an Ian Book game, thank God for them. We saw how that went last week against the Dolphins. That was kind of a nightmare. It's not really working for the Panthers on the other side. Cam Newton is back, but not enough because this team still really isn't doing what it perhaps could be. They're still underperforming, but I'm going to take the chance and go with them. I do think Carolina is probably the underdog for this game, all things considered. But the Saints, they look good against the Bucks, but there are, and they looked really bad last week against the Dolphins with all those players missing. They've been really, really hit or miss. And I do think this is one that the Panthers could steal. So I'll go with them. RJ, an NFC matchup, NFC East, I'm sorry. You're the only one going with the Washington football team against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Again, I think the Philadelphia Eagles are the most inconsistent team in the NFL. I think there are some weeks where this team looks like they should just clean house and start over. And then you have some weeks where it's like, wow, this team, they're going to be in the playoffs and that's not going to be an easy out. And so last week they looked good, blew out the Giants. This week would be the typical letdown week. I still don't think Washington is as bad as their record has shown. They've been in some of these games. They have gotten the doors blown off of them, especially this past week. But they've been in some of these games. I don't think they're as bad as the record indicates. It's a division matchup. We know those can go either way. And wouldn't it be kind of fitting for this NFL season if Philly looks like they're going to get the 7th seed? Oh, they lose. So now we got to figure out who else is going to get it now. This 7th seed in the NFC is going to be a revolving door. And I think it's going to be Philly's turn this week to lose and open the door for some others.
A lot can happen in these next 2 weeks, but if you had to pick one team to have that 7th spot, who would it be?
The Minnesota Vikings.
Why?
Ooh.
They're the best. They're better than Philly. They're better than Atlanta, and they're better than New Orleans. That's not saying too much because Atlanta's pretty trash. Philly's inconsistent, and New Orleans does not have a quarterback. Even when they're all healthy and don't have COVID, the Saints don't have a quarterback. So I would go with the Vikings. I think they have the best quarterback out of the 4. They have the most explosive playmaker out of the 4 with Justin Jefferson. I'd pick the Vikings.
Elite Kirk Cousins leads that Vikings team.
No.
I fully support that, but
Kirk Cousins didn't get me to the finale of fantasy football. He can shove it.
Or you don't trust Kirk Cousins. You just, kind of get lucky with him.
Yeah.
You put some blind faith in him and he impresses you. But then once you trust him, he turns his back and you get screwed out of the playoffs.
Really Julio Jones's fault. Screw you, Julio.
Big disappointment in Tennessee. Has not been Julio. RJ, you got one more island. It's the Las Vegas Raiders against the Indianapolis Colts.
This one's shocking.
So
this one was
again, the Indianapolis Colts are another team that is very hot and cold. Some weeks they look very good. They look like they're going to be a dangerous team in the playoffs. And other weeks, Carson Wentz shows you that he's still Carson Wentz. So what are we going to get this week? Who knows? We don't know what we're going to get out of Indianapolis. But if you think that I am going to pick the Raiders to lose less than a week after John Madden passed away, you got me messed up. They're going to go out there. They're going to win this one for John. The Raiders are going to keep their playoff hopes alive, and it's going to level the playing field out in the AFC even more than it already is.
As much as I would love to see that, rest in peace, John Madden, of course, great broadcaster, coach, NFL player, definitely had an impact on the game, video games, really sports as a whole. He will be missed, but I don't know how likely that would be with the way this Colts team's going. If Carson Wentz, who last thing I knew was on COVID reserve, comes back, I think this could be a particularly easy victory for Indianapolis. But either way, they could
with him though, because we know he's not vaccinated.
Yeah, he's not vaccinated, and so that's a whole thing.
It's gonna be kind of tough.
This video is gonna go pretty quick. I think we're all pretty, solid on our picks. You brought up something about John Madden. Is there So I was thinking about this the other day. In the history of sports as a whole, all sports ever, forever, how many more influential and iconic people in the history of sports has there been that are on the same level as John Madden? For me, I think John Madden is up there with like Michael Jordan and like Babe Ruth. And John Madden didn't play, so it wasn't his playing career. But when you talk about influence, I think every major network, they put so much emphasis on trying to get it right with the people in the booth. And why is that? Because our parents, and maybe even when we were really young, we heard John Madden and we heard how great he was in the booth and how he was just a natural. Why is CBS paying Tony Romo like $10 million a year? Because they think they found someone that can be the next John Madden. They love the way he is in the booth. Like, there is such an emphasis put on these color commentators. And I think that started with John Madden. And then, I mean, he was a Hall of Fame coach. Let's not forget that. He has the best win percentage in NFL history with a minimum of 100 games coached. He ended up with a Hall of Fame broadcast career, winning 16 Emmys. And then there is not a more popular video game franchise, I think, than the Madden NFL franchise. Like, I know Call of Duty and, FIFA, some of these other ones, were big, but like Madden is just such a, it's just such a piece of pop culture. And John Madden wasn't just football, it's pop culture. It's boom, tough acting, tenactin. It's, hey, I'm going to go play Madden. It's this and that. It's, holding up the turkey leg on Thanksgiving after the game because John Madden, decided to start that tradition. So there's not been very, very many influential people in the history of sports compared to John Madden. Like, that dude has set himself in a completely different category.
Amen.
Absolutely. I mean, there are a few coaches with, if out of all coaches in sports, I mean, he's a household name, I think, more than any of them. I feel like you could say that easily. And like you said, through pop culture, through television, through coaching on the sidelines, obviously he made a grand impact in every aspect of his life. So yeah, rest in peace, John Madden, a legend. He revolutionized several different businesses. And I think that's really, really important. We will move on though. We do have a split here. The Tennessee Titans and Miami Dolphins. Myself and RJ are taking Tennessee, while Will and Jamil are taking the Miami Dolphins. Will, I'll start with you. Why the Dolphins?
He's not here, so I can be honest. I'm doing it so Jamil can't get in the ground on me. No. Honestly, whenever I looked at it, it was right now the Dolphins are at a point where I didn't even really look to see who they were playing. The Dolphins were at a point where I saw 7 straight wins, and instead of becoming the team that you look and you go across, I just saw Miami and I was like, they're hot, and I didn't even think about who they were playing. Tennessee's a good team. Honestly, they just beat, San Francisco last week on Christmas weekend. Little lackluster. Thought they could have done a little bit more with that game, just able to sneak out with a 3-point victory. This team is not who they are when they don't have the run game. And I feel like the way that Miami's defense has been playing, they have the ability to shut it down. I think Miami, their defense has been stellar. Now, if you look at their 7-game win streak, they haven't beat necessarily the greatest talent. I'm not going to say that they're out here, taking down top tier teams. They beat the Jets twice. They beat the Texans. They beat some kind of bum teams, but they did beat a Lamar Jackson. They did beat a Lamar Jackson team, Ravens team, who was in for the full game with Jacoby Brissett. So, I mean, there's a little bit of there is a little bit that makes me believe that they could end up winning this game. I think it'll be close, but I still think Miami, fighting for their playoff lives, will find a way to sneak this out.
RJ, why Tennessee?
As hot as Miami is, you mentioned who they played. They've won 7 straight. They beat the Texans. They beat the Jets. They beat the Saints with Ian Book. They beat the Panthers. I've been riding Miami on this little win streak. I think Miami's actually a good football team. I just think it's January now. When this video comes out, it'll be almost January.
When they play, it'll be January.
When they play, it's going to be January. And this is when those playoff teams wake up and they step it up and they take the game to a new level. As good as Miami has been these past few weeks, or 7 weeks to be exact, the Tennessee Titans know it's time to wake up and it's time to get this playoff run started. And I think it started last week, getting down early to the 49ers, storming back to win that game. I think they're going to start to get hot here. I think they got to build momentum because, listen, it's time for the playoffs. You got to start to get hot. I think the Titans know that. They're at home. It's gonna be a good one. But I'm still gonna take the Titans to beat Miami.
This is a big game, a lot riding on it. Obviously, Miami's playoff hopes. Tennessee, they want to get as good of a seed as they can get. And winning a game here could definitely help that. I do think this will be a good game, probably a pretty close one. But yeah, obviously I'd have to agree. I probably do see Miami's winning streak ending here. From here on out, a unanimous pick. So we'll fly through those. We'll start with the Atlanta Falcons and Buffalo Bills. No one circles the wagons like those Buffalo Bills. I know Jamil isn't here, so I'll fill in for that. But all 4 of us are circling that wagon with the Buffalo Bills. Will, tell us why.
Falcons are beyond my knowledge actually in playoff contention from their record, which kind of shocked me. I didn't realize how many games they won this season. Didn't know they were in the 7-win club. Pretty impressive, not gonna lie. But it's the Bills. The Bills are in a tied division right now with the Patriots. Again, January, the teams are going to start to wake up. You're playing for your life at this point. The Bills, they're probably going to make the playoffs regardless. It's just, do you want to be the division winner? Do you want to be the wild card? The Bills need to take advantage of facing a lesser team in the Falcons and find a way to pull out that win.
Chiefs and Bengals, very important matchup for the Bengals, at least. You have the rest of your division in the hunt while you're sitting in the playoff spot. They've exceeded expectations so far this season, but the Chiefs are the Chiefs, the number 1 seed in the AFC, and all 4 of us are going to ride with them come Sunday. RJ, tell us why.
I'm actually a little surprised. I thought somebody would have took the Bengals. I actually almost took the Bengals.
I'm high on them.
But as good as the Bengals are, they're very young. They're very talented. I think Kansas City has also got into form, and I think they're going to remind everybody in the AFC, hey, y'all thought that y'all were just going to walk over us because we didn't look good in September and October. The playoffs run through Kansas City. If you're going to the Super Bowl, you got to come to Kansas City. And Cincinnati right now is probably the 2nd best team in the AFC. So Kansas City's got something to prove. They want to prove to the rest of the conference, hey, y'all ain't in our league. We're still the Kansas City Chiefs. So this is a great matchup on paper that I think the Chiefs are going to take care of business and handle it.
Yeah, it's going to be one of the more exciting games this week. I don't think it'll be a blowout or anything, but I definitely think that, these 2 offenses on full display could provide a pretty exciting shootout. At least I'm hoping for it. But all 4 of us are going to go with the Chiefs. I can actually handle these next 2, the Jaguars and the Patriots. So we get a checklist every week, and one side has a team like the Jaguars, the other has a team like the Patriots. We go to that side and we pick whoever is not the Jacksonville Jaguars. In that case, it is the New England Patriots. All 4 of us are going with them. And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers head up to the Meadowlands to take on the New York Jets. When you see the New York Jets on this kind of checklist, and you go to the other side, and it's the defending champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So more often than not, you're going to have to ride with them. All 4 of us took the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This next one, a little less one-sided, the Denver Broncos and the Los Angeles Chargers. I don't think any of us here are really big fans of the Broncos this season. There seems to be some kind of unanimous hate somewhere on this channel with the Broncos, and for that we apologize. But it's going to stick here. The LA Chargers, we are all in favor of, despite losing to the Texans last week. A fluke, probably. RJ, talk to me about this game.
This is a playoff game. You lose this game, you're done. You're out of here. This is a playoff game. Who do you trust to win a playoff game? Justin Herbert or Teddy Bridgewater? Or is it Drew Lock? Is Teddy even playing? I don't know. I don't watch Denver. You know why? Because I don't like the Denver Broncos. I like Javonte Williams. Go Heels. The rest of the Denver Broncos don't like them. So who would you pick to win a playoff game? I would pick Justin Herbert. That's who I'm going with.
Yeah. I mean, I like what I see from the Chargers. I wish they were a little more consistent, but I am hoping they find a playoff spot because they're Chargers, they're electric. But Houston and San Francisco.
That's a tough one.
Will, I'll let you take this one. I know it's tough.
San Francisco, another team fighting for their lives. They're going to be up there in the wild card contention. The NFC West is already a busy animal with the Rams and the Cardinals already clinched. They need to find a way in themselves. The two bottom wild card spots are up for grabs. Cardinals or Rams will walk away with one. The other two definitely are worth fighting for. San Francisco currently slotted in to that 6th seed. They need to continue to win. Houston is a team that should not be taking down teams like the Chargers. But again, I think it kind of has to do with the fact that I took the Chargers as my dark horse team this year. It's similar to what I did with the Raiders last year. I said, hey, this team's good, huh? Kind of what the Chargers are working on doing here. And if they lose this week, I'm going to laugh and I'm going to apologize to LA. But until they do it, I'm going with San Francisco.
All right. All four of us with San Francisco. Big game for them. Next game is one of the more exciting ones. The Arizona Cardinals and the Dallas Cowboys, two teams that will make the playoffs on the NFC side, but are definitely still fighting for seeding. All four of us did go with America's team, the Dallas Cowboys.
Was shocked in that one too. Did not know how we all went unanimous.
Yeah, the Cardinals are a little inconsistent, but could definitely still win this football game. RJ, talk to me about this one.
This is the most interesting game of the week. And the reasoning is because do we trust either one of these teams in a couple weeks when the playoffs start? Because I don't. I don't trust the Arizona Cardinals at all. They started out super hot, and they are super cold now. They are very inconsistent. This team is not playing well at all. But then again, they're going up against the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys have one playoff win since I've been alive, and it was against the Detroit Lions. So we know that the Dallas Cowboys will find a way to lose in the playoffs, but so will the Arizona Cardinals. So these two teams playing against each other is a great tune-up for what we're going to see in a few weeks in the playoffs. Which one of these teams is less of a fraud? I think we find out this week. I picked Dallas, but if Arizona wins, I promise you I will not be surprised because that's what Dallas does. They lose big games. So do not get your hopes up betting on the Cowboys because the Cardinals might go in there and just smoke them.
Next one, this actually might be our only ugly girl fight of the week. And I didn't think this team would be in an ugly girl fight this season, but it's the Seattle Seahawks as they take on the Detroit Lions. If we're being honest, the Lions could steal this one. It wouldn't really be the most shocking thing, but all four of us are going to trust the Seahawks despite last week's loss, despite everything they've been through this year. We'll still ride with the Seahawks. Will, do you have any insight on this one?
I just don't think Seattle was ready for a snow game in Chicago. I think that was kind of where it came down to. Whenever you play for a team like Chicago, when you play for a team like Green Bay, Buffalo, you get really excited for these snow games. Whether you're from Chicago, whether you're from California, whatever it is, whenever you get on these teams, you kind of embrace that culture and you just get excited for these kind of snow games. You don't want to do that in Seattle. I mean, you already deal with rain enough as it is. Sure, you're going to get a snow game or two up in Seattle, but I just don't think they were ready to come into Chicago, fight the snow and everything such as that. But I also don't think that they find a way to lose to the Lions. I'm not going to say come on like I did against the Cardinals, and then just to have the Lions smoke them. But I think the common man takes Seattle in this one.
I would like to say something. I'm sorry, Matt. I don't think that's the ugly girl fight of the week. The ugly girl fight of the week is Giants Bears.
Nice.
This
Oh,
game
yeah.
right here.
Forgot about that.
If I had to give this game a backstory, I think it's that little nerdy girl that sits in the back of the class that no one knows and no one really pays any attention to till like a couple years later at senior prom. She shows up and she's a smoke show. That's the Detroit Lions. They're not that bad. And one day they're going to show up looking like a smoke show and everybody's going to be like, damn, Detroit's actually not that bad. And they're going up against that popular chick that everyone liked. But when you talk to it, it's like, wow, you have problems. And that's Seattle. Because everyone was blinded by Russ and Pete Carroll, thought this team was great. They have a lot of problems. They're not drafting well. They don't give Russ help on the offensive line. There's internal issues in Seattle. And Detroit is on the come up. We just ain't found out yet. So this isn't two ugly girls. This is just two very different stories. The trajectory is completely different for these two franchises right now.
Who wins prom queen? We need to know.
The Detroit Lions.
No football team is winning prom queen with Jared Goff under center, but
No, they're going to have to get rid of him.
yeah, maybe in a couple of years when Baker Mayfield is the quarterback in Detroit.
Oh, stop.
Ooh.
Stop.
Speaking of
Derek
quarterbacks,
Carr.
let's talk about an elite quarterback on Sunday Night Football. You know, it's Vikings Packers.
It's gonna be a Vikings game, isn't it?
I'm talking about Kirk Cousins, man. I'm talking about Kirk Cousins against the Packers. All four of us have the Packers, obviously. It's Lambeau. It's Sunday Night Football. It's primetime. Why does Kirk Cousins keep getting primetime games? I don't know. He won a couple this year, though, and I'm proud of him for that. But the Packers are going to shut him down. Will, take us home.
It's Green Bay and Lambeau in prime time. I mean, you said it all yourself. Congrats, you beat the Bears earlier in prime time. Yeah. I mean, it's the only team so far he's beaten prime time. So why are we shocked? It's the Vikings. They definitely should find a way into the playoffs. I mean, to be fair, didn't they beat them earlier this year? Didn't the Vikings beat the Packers earlier this year?
I believe so. I remember that. That was a great game.
If I'm not mistaken, it was like 34-31. Really great game in Minnesota.
Great game.
You're not in Minnesota anymore, pal. You're in Aaron Rodgers' backyard, and it's probably going to snow. The weather's going to suck. Good luck. It's going to be a running game, which you can't use your elite quarterback in Kirk Cousins in that case. You know, the big key of this team, obviously Dalvin Cook is typically what runs through this offense. But now whenever you're having these star receivers, such as Jettis, such as Thielen, you know, you're starting to see the offense starting to come together a little bit more.
But
that's not going to be the case.
Yeah, Thielen's out for the season now, so
Doesn't help.
that's not going to help. It's
just Jettis. It's Jettis and KJ Osborne, which is gross. It's not exactly the tandem. You're going to run through Dalvin Cook. It should still be a somewhat competitive game, but Green Bay's fighting for the number 1 seed, and it's in Lambeau. They already lost earlier this year. They're going to be hungry. They're going to take the win.
Yeah, should be another exciting week of football. That's week 17 for you. Playoffs coming together. You know, stay with us. We'll have week 18 pick'ems next week. But for now, for RJ Stroke and Will Polson, I've been Matthew Perry. It's been GMs for Hire. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.